Good morning, everyone. My name is Theo, and I'm going to talk about hesitation, disfluency in spontaneous speech, also the meaning of and R. Human speech is paired with arms and us. Among other signs of hesitation, disfluencies in the planning process, but at least so-called failures or failed pauses intentionally uttered by speaker or are late side effects of difficulties in the planning process, and how do listeners respond to them? The present paper reviewed evidence concerning the production and comprehension of fillers such as and us in an attempt to determine whether they can be said to be words with meaning that are understood by listeners. To conclude, listeners are highly sensitive to hesitation disfluencies in speech. There is little evidence to suggest that they are intentionally produced or should be considered to be words in the conventional sense. When humans communicate, their messages are covered by more than just the word they use. They can, for example, use gesture to indicate what a phrase such as this one refer to, or change their tone of voice to show that the assertion that they love linguistic is not to be taken at face value, as well as these additional components of communication. The words of unprepared spoken language are likely to be accompanied by a range of unintentional errors. If, for example, a speaker exchanges the one set of two words by perhaps saying barn door when intending to say barn door, it is highly unlikely that the exchange is intentional, and the occurrence of accidental speech error like this may inform us about the nature of speech planning. Between these extremes of intentionality are disfluencies or the false starts, repetition, and hesitations that accompany the word that speakers plan and utter. Averaging across several studies, Fox Street estimated that approximately 6% of words uttered or are affected by some form of disfluencies. These disfluencies may not always be accidental. It has been argued that some type of disfluencies should be counted among the tools that the speaker has for communicating to the listeners. Alongside things such as tones of voice, others, such as false starts, may be due to the speakers editing their own speech. Chief among the potentially communicative disfluencies are the so-called fillers such as and R, which mark a hesitation on the part of the speaker. In this paper, we investigate the role play by hesitation in human communication with a particular focus on fillers and the communicative goals they may serve. Here's my table of contents. First, where do his fluencies such as filler occur throughout? Next, what are hesitation, disfluencies, and cognitive load? Third, what's the meaning of arms and are? In the end, I will tell you guys how to reducing this fluency in spontaneous speech. After all of this, I will show you a short video of a short talk between Ryan Reynolds and Jack Gyllenhaal and see how many times they're using fillers and explaining why they were using the fillers. Investigation of where these fluencies such as fillers occurs throughout utterance have est- established that they are more likely to occur before counter words such as low frequency color names. However, Betty and Butterworth came to a different conclusion when they investigated the distributional properties of these fluencies across a set of recording of two-person conversation. They showed that both low frequency content words are low rated as contextually improbable were likely to be preceded by hesitations such as failures. When the frequency was held constant, contextual probability still predicts these fluencies, rather than attributing these fluencies to cognitive load. Betty and Butterworth suggest that speaker might be aware of an element of choice in selecting word with low contextual probability and were more likely to be disfluenced for this reason. Next, not enough practice. Research also shows do more practice can reducing hesitation disfluencies in your speech, and better preparation can reduce the mood of hesitation very well. Next, what are hesitation disfluency and what is cognitive flow? In spontaneous speech, any form of nonsense pauses are so-called hesitation disfluencies. One of the most common hesitation disfluencies is fillers. And what is cognitive load? It is a process that you are phrasing your word and thinking how to pronounce it and what does it mean. The research shows that there is more likely a filler word throughout after a cognitive load. Next. Now, let's move on to the next part. What's the meaning of and R? Their meaning is no meaning. They are just two different kinds of delay. Is a longer delay, R is a brief delay. Although there is no meaning in these two words, the study shows that people are more likely to memorize the content that comes after ums and ahs. In the field of linguistics, some believe that and ah means someone is trying to throw out an opinion or phrasing what they are going to say next and lead the listener to the points which the speaker wants to send. Last but not least, how to reduce the fluencies in spontaneous speech. First, as I have mentioned in the very beginning, do more practice. Do enough practice before your speech can make you more confident and more fluent about your speech. Next, choice of word. You should choose the word that you are familiar with instead of some words which are uncommon and difficult. This can also help you do your speech more fluency because the words you in your speech are those you know very well. So there is this chance that you have a cognitive load, which only happens when you are not familiar with the word. Finally, using silent pause. You should get used to use a silent pause. It is one kind of phrasing, and we only need to learn how to use it and when to use. Now, I would like to share a video from YouTube to you, and let's see how filler and are heard in our daily conversation. Then we will see how many times and what kind of fillers throughout the speaker in this video. Skip this part. Alright, as you can see here, I've made a small record to count out how many times do the speaker use the fillers and which one is the most frequent. The first one is and it has been used once. The second one is and it has been used 10 times. The third one is like it has been used twice. Next is yeah. it has been used twice. After, I mean, it has been used once. The final one, it has been used once. In my opinion, are um and yeah are more likely can be considered as the speaker was thinking about what he want to say and which word he should use. I mean, like, are more likely throughout when a speaker wants the listener to agree with his opinion and reach a consensus. Taken together, the studies have surveyed shows that failure occur in utterance when speakers are uncertain or when they have choice to make. They affect the comprehension process, facilitating understanding and allowing the listener to amend their prediction about what might be said next, or evaluate the speaker's confidence in what they are saying. Although this evidence is consistent with the view that and are worse, other studies suggest that they do not have such as data. Speakers may produce them automatically when there is a delay to the speech plan, and it may be the case that any plausible interruption to fluent speech will affect listener in the same way as viewers. So this is my presentation today. Thank you for listening.